Hi everybody, it's
Hello.
Natasha.
And Yachim.
Welcome to another sit-down session after our food vlog. I hope you enjoyed that because that is a big part of our life. Eating. We do it at least 3 times a day. But today we're gonna hop into a topic that is really relevant to us. It has to do with our work, it has to do with relationships. Literally, if you interact with any human beings in your life, you'll need it, and that is boundaries. And a lot of the times we see within our clients or even within our past, it's sometimes hard to draw the line. It's sometimes hard to know when to set the boundaries, how to set them, how to communicate.
So what Natasha said, that difficulties and how it can be challenging to set boundaries, those are usually experienced, in my view, when you are not clear within yourself. Okay? And so what I would invite you, the very first question to reflect on is a practical video. So when I say the question, just pause the video and think about it, is what stops you from actually setting boundaries or having boundaries? What's stopping you from having boundaries? Think about it and actually reflect on that. Because what will actually help you to set boundaries is to become clear within yourself. You have certain boundaries where you don't need to set them. They are just there. So where you don't have boundaries is because you're not clear there. There's something stopping you, and usually it boils down to fear.
Why does it boil down to fear?
Well, I don't know, but for me, it's like, okay, why am I afraid to set certain boundaries? Well, either because I'm afraid hurting someone's feelings, or being afraid of being rejected, of having some kind of conflict. So there are also all kind of fears that we're projecting thoughts and ideas, what will happen if we do reinforce what's actually true to us. Because if you do sit with yourself, it's very clear to you what you like and what you don't like usually. It's not like, oh, do I want chocolate or vanilla? No, it's like, I want people to respect me in a certain way and deal with me in a certain way, and that's not very difficult to know. It's inherent in you. So something's stopping you from actually going ahead and doing that and reinforcing that.
Well, I just remember the moments where I'm afraid to speak up, and setting boundaries sometimes does mean that you actually have to say something.
Yeah.
In other situations, it's just you being a certain way, and that already demands respect or sets the boundary. It doesn't have to be always verbal, but in moments where I knew I had to say something to someone because this already wasn't clear enough, within the understanding between me and someone else, well, then I used to be really, really scared of conflict. I thought that conflict wasn't okay. I shouldn't be one to stir it up, let's say, and that if I assumed that a conflict would come up because of what I was about to say, that I was doing something wrong. Like, I should not create conflict. I shouldn't make something out of nothing. The boundaries come from something within you, and if it feels right for you to set it, it feels right to demand it, then it is something. It is worth speaking up about. It's worth living that out. And conflicts used to be a problem. I used to always see it as a problem, but I think that is something that we have to rethink too. And I would suggest you to pause this video right now and honestly think to yourself, what's so bad about conflicts? What's so bad about disagreements? Or everybody not having the same point of view? What's so bad about having a little bit of friction? Not everyone, looking the same way, looking in the same direction, saying the same things. What's so wrong about having a little bit of friction in your points of view or between relationships?
I think that's a great question to think about. And when you come back, which is maybe now, I want to pause and I want to give you another question to reflect on. And that is the question of, how are you being in this world that you keep having your boundaries violated? And just think about it. There's people that don't need to reinforce their boundaries, or they need to reinforce it very rarely, right? Because they're carrying themselves, they're being in a certain way in this world, right? And so if your boundaries are constantly being violated, you're being in a way in this world that is inviting that more into this place, you know, into yourself, into your life, right? So pause the video and think, how am I being in this world? And you know, those questions, they take some time to reflect on. It's not just like a quick kind of writing it down and it's done. It really takes some time to reflect on. But it always starts with you, right? It always starts with you. And here's the thing, you know, if you're being in a certain way, if your boundaries do get violated, you immediately respond. It's not like, oh, can I, should I, or something like that. It's like, no, this is not okay. Stop.
Because if you don't believe that you are worthy of being respected, if you question the boundaries you want to set in the first place, you're like insecure about it, you're not sure if it's actually true or not, you don't know if you deserve it or other people should respect it. If you already have that perspective, then good luck trying to enforce that, because most likely it's not going to happen, because you don't even believe that you need it, you want it, or that it's that is yours to begin with. So it goes all the way back to the first point that Yahim brought up today, which is you got to be clear with yourself what is true for you.
Absolutely. And I love what you said, because how are you being in the world comes back to a large degree as well to beliefs about yourself. And so that's really good to start. And so you see, the approach we're taking is not about giving you tips of like, oh, someone violated your boundary, you have to do X, Y, Z to reinforce it. While that can have its value, but that's not what we're doing. What we're doing is we're starting with yourself, because it starts with yourself and how you are in this world that then manifests your life. You know, you are the creator of your life. Where you are at today has been influenced by your decisions that you have taken, the way you've shown up in life, and what you have done. So start with yourself. Always start with yourself.
And one thing that I want to end this video with is that if we have become very numb to pain, to other people's abuse, to other people's violence, it could be just verbal, it can be also just from the tone of voice, or even just the body language. If we're used to being suppressed by other people in that way for a long time, it might feel extremely uncomfortable to kind of break that little mold that it feels like everyone has kind of compressed us into. So it's okay to feel like it's really uncomfortable, to start to ask for what feels right for you ultimately. But like Yahim said, once this truth, once this clarity within you, once you know what feels right for you, you'll be sensitive, you'll become more sensitive to when someone is already kind of in the gray area. You'll already get a feel for it, and you might even speak up your mind before someone violates your boundaries. So at that point, you know, it doesn't feel like, you know, you're trying to change everyone around you, like every single way that everyone has already been treating you. It's becoming sensitive to what is true for you, and the moment that something doesn't feel quite right, you then react from that feeling, from that place, and you speak up, or you react, you respond, and you don't just keep swallowing, you know, what is coming towards you, and you just take it. Because by the time we actually do speak up, we have accumulated so many negative emotions. You know, we're so raw, we're so vulnerable, we feel so small. It feels more overwhelming to then suddenly speak up. So it's really about aligning to your truth all the time, so that when you feel something is even a little bit off, if you're sensitive enough to feel that, then it's already time to speak up. You don't have to wait until that point where you're about to explode to set your boundaries. You can be sensitive to when something doesn't feel right all the time.
Absolutely. I think this is very good, and I do recommend that you go and either rewatch the video, but also to actually do those kind of questions, think those questions, sit with them, be with them, see what comes up, because there's all this content out there. Well, it's absolutely useless if you don't creatively engage with it and see what comes up in you, because your life will be changed by your insights. What we are saying, they're just guidelines, they're just helping you to point you in a direction, to give you certain things that you can do, but you need to sit with that yourself so that it can unfold within you. So make sure you actually reflect on those questions and that you rewatch the video if it's been useful.
Thank you for joining us today and watching this video where we try to help you out, to take a look at where do boundaries come from? How can we set them when we feel like, our boundaries have already been crossed many times now? How can we still speak up? How we can begin to reflect on, what holds us back from setting our boundaries. It could be fear of conflict, fear of letting other people down. But let's ask ourselves these reflective questions, and before you know it, you'll begin to see through the stuck feeling that you are with yourself and with other people, and you'll begin to have more respectful and more peaceful relationships. Really, ultimately, even if you create conflict by speaking up, in the end, you're actually trying to find the boundary so you can have a peaceful relationship in the long run. That's what it's really for. So if you have any questions, then write us a comment or a question down below. We'd be happy to help you. And if someone in your life is find it really hard to set their boundaries, or you find them as someone who always have their boundaries crossed and they don't really know how to speak up, then maybe share this video to someone who could make good use of it. So anyways, thanks for being here. Make sure to subscribe for our latest vlogs and more sit-down sessions.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.